Hello, welcome to this new video. I'm using a lot of Midjourney lately, and there are some functions I always missed for my ComfyUI workflows. This is the very subtle and very strong functionality where you can simply regenerate variations of your image in a subtle or in a strong way and then get some new variations out of it that you then can further edit. I wanted to build this functionality in ComfyUI, and in the background you see my workflow for this. Just a quick overview of it. We have our base image in the top, or variations of it, and then if you decide you want to further process one of these variations, we have this here. You can choose the image you want to further process, and this is the image, and you could build a upscaling workflow or something else behind this. We have some settings. You can set the width and the height. You can set the seed, and you can set the variation seed, and you can set the number of variations you want to get. And of course, the most important setting, you can set the factor, how much variation you want, how much change you want in the generation of the variations. And this I will build with you today. I will upload this workflow to Patreon as well. You can get it with the base membership. Let's start by loading the default workflow and change it so that we get the functionality you see. I loaded the default workflow from ComfyUI, and now we will integrate the variation functionality. It all works via noise injection into the latent image, and we disable the normal K-sampler noise injection so that we can do it ourselves in a more controlled way. For this, we need to replace the normal K-sampler to a K-sampler advanced. Double click on the background. So, and here you see we can disable the add noise feature. Control after generate. We have to set to fixed. And let's reconnect everything. The latent image, the model, and then this to this. So we can delete this. And now we have our K-sampler advanced. Let's make some space for our additional nodes. We need the inject noise node. This is part of ComfyUI noise package. Connect this to the latent image input and this to the latents part of the inject noise node. Let's say we want to generate 4 variations like in Midjourney, so we have to increase the batch size to 4. And now we need some noise. The noise is generated by the noisy latent image, which is also part of the ComfyUI noise package. This add-on package will linked in the description below, or you can install it from the manager. Double click on the background and type in noisy latent image. Here we have it. This looks a little bit complicated, but it's quite straightforward. This is the source where the underlying program is getting the random values from. The seed, control after generate, we have to set to fixed. There is our resolution, our width and height. This has to be the same as in our latent image. And the batch size is 1. So we need 4 versions of this exact noise latent image. So instead of increasing the batch size, we use the repeat latent batch node. So this is duplicated 4 times, and this we fill into our slurp latents node, and we will combine it with another noisy latent image. This is needed because we need a controllable base for our variations. This is the base image noise. And now we duplicate this one. And now we create 4 different noise latent images, which then get combined with the 4 identical images. So we can control the variation strength. We fill this into the latence 2 port. Width and height needs to be the same. And then we have to connect this output of the slurp latence, where we connect those noise latence into the inject noise port. So let's make some more space here. Okay, we forgot to increase the amount of repeating, set it to 4. We can later on convert all this to ports and connect it to integer node so that we can adjust the number of variations with one node. I think that should be the noise injection functionality. I'm choosing the Juggernaut Reborn model, and I'm choosing this architecture prompt, modern minimalistic architecture, Bauhaus architecture photography, and brutalism. What we need now is some information for the application of the noise injection. So the strength value needs to be controlled by the sigma value. For this, we use the get sigma node. It's also part of the noise add-on. We need to change this widget to an input. And then we connect the strength with the float output of the get sigma, and the model gets to the model input. So for the sampler name, I choose the DPM++, and the scheduler, I check the Karas. The Karas I choose because it gives the most consistent images and reproducible results. So we do 30 steps. The rest can be the same. And for the case sampler, I also do some more settings. Also choose the same sampler, and the scheduler is also the Karas. Then we choose 30 steps as well. Okay, now the get sigma node is actually getting the information which are otherwise done in the case sampler itself for the noise application. But in this case, we have outsourced it and do it ourselves. And this is the algorithm how the noise get applied and injected into our latent. Let's generate something. We should get 4 variations of our base image, but without any variation, because the factor, the amount of variation is set to 0. So let's generate. And there you see that should be 4 times the same image. Let's increase this to 0.05. So there you see there's something different here and here and here, and let's go to 0.01 to see the smallest variation. You see, oh, they look almost the same, but with slight variations. And let's put it to 1 to see the most variation possible with these settings. Okay, and this is totally different buildings. I think this is a good margin of variation from almost nothing to a big variation. I would say this is like the strong variation in Midjourney, and the other one is maybe like the subtle variation in Midjourney. Okay, what we are missing here is we don't see the base image. These are all variations, and the base image is not visible. For this, let's duplicate the case sampler. We need another VAE decode. We need a preview image. to get a view on the base image, let's connect this and this. VAE needs to be connected. We need to connect the prompts. We need now a different latent. So we only need the noise of this latent image without the variation noise. So, and we only need a batch of 1. So we can skip this node, but we need another injection node, inject noise node. So duplicate this, Control C and V. We need also another empty latent image because we only need a batch of 1. This can go here, and then this for the base noise, and then we can connect this to our latent input, and we also have to connect the model into the new K-sampler. And let's try to generate this one. The strength is missing, of course. Let's connect the sigma to the strength and generate. So there we have our base image. If we click the Q execution again, this workflow should do nothing because there is no changes, so everything stays the same, so no generation needed. If you want to change the base image, now you need to change the seed of this base noise node. So if you do 1, the base image should change and also the variations. If you only want to change the variations, just change the seed of the variation noise. Let's do 2. So, and you see slight variations. So every time you want to change these variations, you have to increase or decrease the seed, change the seed. And we also sure can change the factor, how much the strength of the variation should be. And here you go. So this is actually the base functionality. If you choose to work further with one of those variation images, we need the image from batch node. Let's connect the image output of the variations and put it here. And let's duplicate the preview image. And now you see you can choose which image from the batch should be processed further or output here in the preview. The length has to be 1. And the counting is from 0. So this is image 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. And this should give us the output of the first image. So here we go. This is the first image. This should be the second image. Yes. The third. And the fourth image. And here you can plug in your upscaling workflow or your further processing, whatever you like to do with the certain variation. So that's the basic workflow functionality. Now we do some optimizations for a simpler use of this workflow so that you don't have to adjust the width and the height in every latent image, and the number of variations should be also adjusted easier. Let's do some optimization. Let's start with the width and the height. We create the int constant node. It's part of the KJ nodes for ComfyUI. I will link it in the description below. Let's name it width. Duplicate it. Let's name it height. So we need to convert those widgets to inputs. Right click on the widget and then click convert widget to input with and height. So this for the width and this, and for the height I connect those both. So we can set our 512 and 512. Okay, so for the number of variations, let's duplicate this node also. Let's call it number variations. Set it to 4. And then we need to connect it to every amount widget which shows the number 4 now. For the batch size here, let's convert the widget. So batch size here, we need to do this here. Connect this. And we need to do it here. Connect this one. Let's have a look. So this should give us the exactly same result. Oh, during the duplication of the nodes here, something went wrong. So reconnect the height and reconnect the width. And that should be right now. Yes. Let's give this a try. Okay, looks the same. Now we should be able to increase the variation number. I put it to 6. Okay, 6 variations. So summarized, what is going on? These are your width and height settings. This is the number of variations. If you want to change the seed of the base image, just change the seed here, or maybe let's give it an extra integer node. Base, let's call it base seed, and let's convert seed to input. I don't know why this is happening with the connections here. So better not copy and paste those nodes. So reconnect the number of variations, the base seed, and let's create another int constant node. Call this variation seed. It did it again. This might be a bug with the actual new JavaScript interface. They changed it some time ago in ComfyUI. I did an update yesterday. Maybe this is a bug. So if you have strange connections or strange errors, check out your node connections if they got changed somewhere in the process. Let's convert this widget to input as well. Connect the seed here. So let me check the connections. This is connected to seed, base seed, variation seed, the number of variations, the batch size, and the width and the height. And now let's make another test. So the base image is changed and the variations are changed. And let's decrease the batch size and test again. This is working. Let's change the base seed. So the base image should be different. Yes. And now change the variation seed to change the variations. Here we go. So this should work now. If you want to further process this, you can specify the image you want, plug in your upscale stuff behind this. And yeah, this gives me what Midjourney has to offer in the case of variation. I hope you like this workflow and you can use it for your generations. All the custom nodes were linked in the description below, as well as the model I used. And this workflow will be available on Patreon with base membership. Hope you liked the video. See you soon. Goodbye.